Hello, what is up, everyone? This is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to or watching the Powercast. And today we will be recapping Power Book 2 Ghost Season 4, Episode 4, and the title of this episode is The Reckoning. And I'm joined today by Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How are you doing, Richard?
Doing good, Gary. What's up, listeners and viewers?
What's up, indeed? And I am also joined by Miss Dana Abercrombie. How are you today, Dana?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing fantastical. Wish other things were fantastical like this episode, but we'll talk about that later.
Interesting start to the conversation, but yeah, this was an interesting episode. We were discussing it a bit beforehand, and it seems like our reactions are a bit mixed. But yeah, I guess we'll get into it with our takeaways and discussion. Um, but yeah, I do want to shout outs to all the people. We saw some great comments last week. Big shout outs to Tracy Lee because she dropped a banger of a comment. So big shout outs to her. But yeah, we encourage everyone to get involved in the discussion. So please do leave your comments, hit that like button also, and subscribe to the channel, and also hit the bell if you want to get notified. But yeah, without further delay, we'll jump right to our takeaways. And this week it is my turn to go first. So, with that being said, I have to say that I enjoyed watching like Kane's progress throughout this episode was interesting to watch because to me it seems like he's really starting to level up a little bit now. He does have a little bit of a complex going on, like a mama's boy complex. It seems like he's he's labeled as a mother's boy, and he'll do anything that Monet tells him to do, and we see that play out when Dru kind of teases him on it in one of their exchanges throughout this episode, and then also I think it was great acting, by the way, in that first scene when Dru went to the first stash spot and Kane, showed up, and they had this whole talk about their family dynamics and stuff, and Kane kind of broke down because he really just wanted to be accepted by Lorenzo, his father, and you could see that it hurt him that Dru was picked to be the number two over him. So we see that he really just wanted to be accepted by both Lorenzo and his mother as well, and like yeah, you see that he also has like a mother complex where he'll do anything she asks him, and he'll take her side and everything like that. So you can see he's been struggling with this stuff, and I like that because it does carry on what happened last season and everything. So like we could see that those events really did affect the characters and their decisions. So yeah, that was great acting, by both of them in that scene. I really enjoyed it. I have to say, like Dru, throughout this episode, like he kept going to the family stash spots, knowing full well that Kane knew exactly where they were. Like he kept like he didn't switch it up at all. He just hit up every stash spot, knowing that Kane knows where they are. Like so that was funny. But yeah, like but we see throughout the episode as well that even Nomar acknowledges the fact that he's kind of a mummy's boy, because Monet's calling him while he's with her. Obviously the whole purpose of this episode is, about Monet, Kane, and Tariq getting back at Dru and Diana. So the focus of Kane this episode is trying to find Dru and Diana, and Tariq as well. Like so, that's like the main focus, right? But then he gets called in for this side mission with Noma, where she wants him to attend this gala and help her basically set up this contract, this business contract or whatever. And as they're discussing it, he's getting calls from Monet, and she kind of says she calls it out basically and we see that he hides his phone, like, basically shutting it down, that, trying to show that he is his own man. And then he attends the ball and everything. And I really did like that scene at the gala, because it kind of showed like another side of Kane, because we're used to seeing him in the streets, like ripping and running, and doing just running missions, basically like a GTA character or something like. But in this scene, we see like another side of him, and we see that he can talk the talk as well. Like, he can interact with some of these high level players and stuff. Like, he can he was carrying that conversation and everything with the dude, what was it, Kevin something, Kevin Grant, I think the guy's name was. Like, he had to talk to him to kind of distract him from the other guy. So yeah, like, I think that was great seeing him in that element. And I think that they're going to try and hone in on that a little bit more, especially with how the episode kind of ends, where Kane is basically he basically, like, he goes after Monet, calls him off, because he finds Dru at the final stash spot, and he's ready to kill him, but Monet tells him no, because she's been through her whole transformation. So she calls him off, tells him to hand the phone to Dru, and Kane ain't feeling it at all, and he ends up, like, beating up Dru and telling him, kicking him out the penthouse, basically. And yeah, so then after that, he goes to see Noma, and he's like, I'm nobody's boy anymore. I'm my own man. So what I really want to see for Kane now is for him to basically disown his family and just try to, really be his own man. I want him to go all the way with it and go through this, transition as a character. Of course, we know that there's going to be other problems that arise with the Tejada family, and he probably will have to go back and help them in some way again. But I do want to see them, like, act on this storyline, of Kane trying to break away from that family mold a little bit. So yeah, I think that was interesting to see. Like, he, watching him in this episode was very interesting for me. And second takeaway, so there's another character that was very interesting in this episode, and that is Detective Carter. Now, in my opinion, I think Carter is dirty. I think he's completely dirty. He's a dirty cop. I think he's hiding something. Maybe he has his own criminal organization or something. Like, this is not like a righteous person, basically. The way he acted in this. Now, we see him first of all with is it Kamal? I think it's Kamal Tate. And Tate, like, he's actually suggesting something, very smart, where, like, they should chase up the lead with Roman, and look into Zion, basically. And Carter talks this down immediately, saying, you're kind of overstaying your welcome here a little bit, and what I want to do is I want to pit Tariq against the Tejadas, basically, against Monet. And he does this by seemingly creating this fake witness. It seems like they came up with this fake witness, placing Tariq on the scene. So he's deliberately, like, trying to put these people against each other and making, like, a fake witness situation. Like, to me, that's very unethical of a police officer. And yet, like, why is he doing this? What is the motive? Now, I know he wants to obviously, get some dirt on Tariq, and he wants to stick it to him, basically. But it's just the methods he's using to go about it don't seem like the regular kind of methods that a policeman of his, stature or position should be playing. He shouldn't be playing by those kind of rules. So that would suggest he's dirty. And it's like, why you know, if he's dirty, what kind of dirt is he into? You know, what kind of dirt is he playing with? Because you know, one might think, you know, if he's trying to throw Kamal off of the scent of Zion like that, then is he somehow connected to that situation? Who knows? You know, I do feel like there's some kind of twist coming with this character. I don't think he's as clean cut as they try to make out. You know, I don't think he's righteous in any way. There is some kind of twist with this guy, like, because yeah, and you can just see it by the way Michael Ealy plays him. Like he definitely has some darkness to the character. Like, so I don't trust Carter at all, and I'm watching him closely throughout these episodes, like for any clues. And you know, I know I said last week that maybe Tariq is gonna like figure out the truth of his wife's murder or something. I'm starting to think like maybe her murder was intentional and not an accident. Like maybe they targeted her, you know, because he might be involved in some serious stuff. Like because this guy seems dirty to me. So yeah, that's my take on Carter. And last takeaway, Tariq. Tariq is moving mad right now. Like he's making, you know, he's made a lot of mistakes. I feel like so. Obviously, you know, throughout this episode, he's chasing Diana, and you know, he with the help of Pinky, he locates Salim's you know, house and everything, and he turns up there. Salim has already sent away Diana to stay at his parents' vacant house or whatever. And you know, Tariq busts in the house and he roughs up Salim and throws him against the wall and everything, and puts the gun to him. And Salim quickly gives up the location of where Diana is. And then, you know, Tariq proceeds to taunt Salim, you know, by basically saying, "You bitched up," you know. And then Salim clearly doesn't like that. So they start to tussle and fight. And before you know it, the gun goes off and Salim, you know, Salim is dead. So that that was very sloppy, in my opinion, the way Tariq handled it. First of all, it wasn't necessary to shoot. I mean, it's just Salim. I don't think he, you know, even if Salim grabbed possession of the gun somehow, I don't think he has what it takes to kill anybody. So you know, Tariq should have just fought him off. But you know, I guess in the heat of the moment, anything happens. You know, so fair enough. But he should not have just left the body there just like that. Like he should have. I know he was in a rush to get Diana, but he could have came to, you know, clean up later or called somebody, like just done anything but leave the body, because like the heat is already on him and he knows Carter is out there. So it's like, yeah, that was very sloppy. And I'm sure Carter, you know, is gonna find that it's gonna come back to haunt him. I think. Um, so yeah, like then we have the scene of him and Diana. He shows up at the house, and you know, he's ready to take her out and everything. And that's when Monet busts in. He's basically like, "Why shouldn't I kill you?" And Monet says, "Because she's pregnant." And he's like, "Why should I care about that?" And then Diana says, "Because it's yours." And you know, Tariq's reaction to that, like, it's like he was very kind of nonchalant. Like, of course, Monet then kind of negotiates like a peace talk, basically, like, if you forgive us, and you know, for if you forgive Diana for what she did with giving up, you know, your mother's location to Tommy, then you know, I'll forgive you for shooting at me. Basically, you know, she negotiates peace between them. And then, you know, straight after that, Tariq goes to the party, and like he doesn't look like someone who's just been told that he might be a father. Like he doesn't look like that at all at the party. Like he's just more concerned about the party itself. Like, um, but you know, he does smoke. He does smoke a blunt. He takes Braden's blunt, so maybe that's his coping mechanism or something. But yeah, I don't know. Like it didn't seem to like phase him. I don't know if he believes that he's the father or not. I don't even know if Diana believes that. Like, I don't know if she, you know, seriously thinks that he's the father, or if she just said it to kind of get out of the situation, because that's up for debate as well. So I'm sure we'll touch on that later. But yeah, like he handled that very casually. Like hearing that news, it didn't seem to phase him much. And then of course at the end of the episode, you see he recognizes Anya, who's at the party, and he goes to talk to her, and that's how the show ends. Now that's a dangerous game, because it could work out in his favor. Like he could use that as a way to, dismantle Noma's organization, I guess. But it's also dangerous because, you know, we know that they're trying to keep this party secret, like these parties and stuff that they're throwing. They're trying to keep it away from Noma and everything. Like they don't want anybody to know. But Anya knows. So it's like Noma could easily find out about it, through Anya, if she starts going to these parties on a regular basis or whatever. So yeah, he's going to be playing a dangerous game, and I don't know what's going to happen. Like if maybe these two characters start to date each other or fall for each other. If that happens, that's a whole nother slippery slope as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where that leads. But um, yeah, I did wonder if we were going to see a lot more of Anya Covington, and it seems like we will. It seems like she's going to be a big part of this plot. So I'm very curious to see where that leads, because it's going to definitely create a lot of tension. I mean, what if he knocks her up too? Like two baby mothers, two crime families. Like that would be interesting. But no, yeah, I really want to see where it goes. Overall, this episode, it was a mixed bag. Like it was very entertaining. I'll say that. Like it was like very intense and fast paced. Like the first half of it like had me kind of on the edge of my seat. Like it was like, within the first like 10 minutes, you have like all these confrontations, like all these, you know, you have Monet going to the motel and finding Dru and Diana, and all that stuff, and then the Kane and Dru stuff. Like there was a lot of elements to it that kind of kept you engaged with it, like, and waiting to find out what happens next and stuff. But for the people who say that this season is feeling rushed, it's like rushed to get to the end. I can see how people would say that. There are parts that do feel rushed. It feels like a lot is happening very quickly, like, and the dynamics are changing very quickly on a weekly basis. Like every episode is like things escalate and then it changes, and then it's I could see how it feels rushed and stuff to get to the end. But yeah, interesting episode overall. And I am going to pass it over to Dana Abercrombie now so she can give her takeaways when she's just ready. We can't hear you for some reason. I don't know why. It does say you're unmuted, but for some reason we can't hear you. Does your mic have a mute button on it? Maybe, I don't know. Say something. Yeah, we hear you now. We hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, yay. All right, that was odd.
Oh,
Here's the
now we
thing.
don't hear. Oh, now we do. It keeps
Oh,
going in and out.
now we do. Can you hear me now? Is it sustainable?
Yeah, we hear you.
Hello, hello, hello. Okay, I hated this episode with a passion and a fire that burns like herpes, just itching and scratching and burning. So I've been told that it's like on the internet, but no, I hated this episode like 99%. I hated this episode. Now remember, this is just one episode. I think the show overall, this is one, an extremely good franchise. We asked for, no one asked for the Tariq series, but we got it, and then we learned to love it because it's been good. Yes, you can say it has been rushed. I don't know. I would love to know the timeline from when they learned they were being canceled. Because I want to know, what episode did you find out that you was being canceled and therefore you had to throw everything in at once and not let anything breathe? Because again, this felt very rushed, and not just rushed, this felt repetitive. Very much so. So I want to go into some of the things that I did love. You guys already mentioned Kane. I absolutely love Kane. I love the growth of Kane. I love that we got so much out of him. And that we learned basically this entire family is in pain for one different reason or another, but we all know it all centers around Monet and her shenanigans. But when he was having the conversation with Dru, when he was trying to kill him the first time, they had that huge argument, and he was like, how come you're never upset? You don't show any emotion. He said, Lorenzo was our father. How did she get away with doing that? What she did to us. She keeps getting a pass. This is why we didn't tell you. You spent your whole life trying to make Monet happy, and you will, and you never will. Do you even care that Poppy is gone because of her? Where's all of your pain and hurt even at? And this is when we learned the difference in the dynamics between the two brothers. Dru is very emotional, and he shows his emotions. He wears them on the sleeves. You could say he's over dramatic. The whole thing when Gordo died, how he completely acted like, oh yeah, he was crying every 5 seconds. He was very hurt. Kane is the polar opposite. But do not think that just because he does not show emotion, does that mean he does not have emotions. And he explained this very perfectly by saying, that he feels the same way that Dru felt, and he continues to feel, and that no one knows what he went through, because again, he is not someone who's going to openly talk or openly show his emotions. So he said you don't know what he went through when Lorenzo died. Instead, what he did is he put it to the side, and he was there for his family. He can't go to school like Diana. He can't be an artist like Dru. This is all he knows. I want to be in this, but you didn't even want to. And even as much as I tried, Lorenzo made you his number 2. I just wanted him to respect me, to see I can hold the family down. I can, and Monet robbed me of that. And I still ain't tried to kill her. Every single thing of him being passed up, but being silent about it, by not going out there and acting a fool when he didn't get his way. All he wanted to do, essentially, was be the man of the house. Even with his father there, he wanted to show that, he is responsible, he is a man, and that he is able to do what they tell him and even more. He has ideas, and his hopes and his dreams is within this business. But no one is allowing him to. And here comes Dru, who did not earn this, who doesn't even want this. Remember, he wanted, and we saw this when he was a kid, when they did the flashback. All he wanted to do was be an artist. Remember, Monet pulled him out of school when he had that art presentation that he was really excited for. And he didn't even get to do that because he had to learn the family business about, how we connect and how we make a profit and get our money. And you can see he didn't want to do that. And I think you can't tell one boy's story without the other one. They were both forced into the situation. And Dru, again, he literally killed to keep his family safe. And they showed him as a kid when he went and he shot Lex, who was supposed to give him the money, and instead he ended up with a fight with Monet, and he shot him. And you saw that look that he gave. You saw how he was, completely in shock. He was crying. And what did Monet do? She slapped him. She didn't offer any kind of, it's okay, boy, I got you. We're gonna get through this together, this kind of thing. This is what you have to learn how to experience. It was like she slapped him, get over it. You'll be fine. Go in the car. And Monet doesn't have any form of mothering skills. And I would really love to learn, is that what she got from her parents? Because if you look at Janet, the sister, she, again, seems to be the polar opposite. She is someone who seems to be very emotional, who will give you that courage, who will give you support, who is able to be in tune with the family. And Monet, as she had that conversation, she's just unable to do that. She doesn't see the family that's right in front of her. So I thought that this was a huge moment for Kane, and we finally got his true feelings and his emotions. And I really love that. He was, his entire time, he was spent trying to be a man. And then when he came back to Monet, he said, I'm not my mama's boy. And I was waiting for this because I was like, oh, but you're still Monet, you still Nola's boy. He said, I'm not your boy either. So this was him coming into his manhood. This was him going and ruling things. Now I hate again with how they did Noma, because again Noma comes across as someone who was really great, who was powerful. Remember, my fiance's ring, you're gonna give it back. And she took out that knife and cut the finger off. And I was like, oh, sookie now. And then we thought we was gonna have this big showdown between her and Monet. Are you stealing my money kind of situation? Them, putting their dominance is going to be a fight over territory. And we never got that. And we still never got that in the end either. And the character to me has been so diluted. Now she's, involved in this. We don't even know what kind of relationship it is with Kane. And if Kane, I was waiting for Kane to kill her this whole time, or to at least, choke her out. Remember when he had her choked up with Obi? And when he lived, I was waiting for him to enact the exact same thing that he did to her. Because to me, this character is such a throwaway. And even when we do get the kidnappation of Anya, I genuinely, in my heart, do not care. So what? Oh, okay, the whole reason was to kidnap her was because you want your freedom back. Monet does not even pose so much of a threat anymore. Do you understand? And this is what frustrates me, and I guess this would be number 3. I don't even know at this point. I'm just ranting. But I hated with all of my heart and all of my soul that when Tariq and Braden are back on campus after everything that they went through, we thought, okay, they can never return to school again. These are 2 bandits on their own. They're going to have to figure this out. They return right back to their thing. They've learned nothing through this whole thing. I've been broke for 1 day. Oh my gosh, I need money. They're making me work 3 jobs. So what do? You have a remix of Course Correct. And I'm sorry, to me, that, yes, you can say Course Correct was genius and wonderful and great. Ew. And we also had Course Correct when it came to them being in the real estate business, when they worked for them white people in the stock. I can't even remember. I'm so angry. But y'all remember when they worked in the white people business, a place with the estates and the things in Braden? Somebody help me, so I'm not a fool. But yeah, y'all not.
Western
so anyway,
Holdings.
There you go, Western Holdings, right? So now, what did we do? We're literally just remixing a remix to go back to school. To just, instead of Course Correct, it's Party Correct. I am so frustrated because to me, it's just, calm down. It shows you put people, you write them into a corner in order to see how they will get out and they will grow. And instead, what you do is, oh, let me just add this little door over here, draw this door in the corner, and they can open up the door and escape, and the door leads them right to the same place again. So we have Course Correct 3.0 now involving parties. And to me, that's so frustrating The whole way how they're explaining, oh, the t-shirt size represents how many grams and ounces they want. That's no different from, I need help in my math class. I'm taking math level 1. Can you help me with that? And that's the course correct order. Yes, it's smart. It's great. It's innovative. But you wasn't even supposed to be on the campus. You were supposed to be kicked out. I was looking forward to that. I'm like, Braden, Tariq, on the dusty road. We had Tommy. I can't even fight this war for you. What war? What war? We have a stinking peace treaty now. Oh, I'm not going to say anything about you, and I want my kids, to come back and live with me, and I'm going to pretend that you never tried to kill me. Even though that whole thing with Tasha, and we was like, oh snap, well, Tasha's gonna get got. Monet's gonna find her. What's the point? What even is the point of killing Salim? To show, yes, it was absolutely sloppy. Because remember, he left the second door open. So dude can just come right in the house and like, oh my God, someone got shot. And we know Detective Carter, right? And he's running around there, and as you guys have stated, you think he's a dirty cop. Yeah. What was the point of bringing up the fact that his wife died? Now, was that for me to care about this cop, to be invested in, maybe his wife dying? We're not even getting like, hey, remember, Detective Carter, I'm still on the case of your wife dying. And we discovered that it was Blood Drop 052 gang. No mention of that at all. So what was even the point of saying, oh, your wife died? You're just giving me unnecessary information. The whole thing of bringing Salim back, what? So we can have a big powwow in the middle of Greenwich, Connecticut? I don't and I know I'm being really overly sensitive with this, but if I, clearly multi-millionaire, home in Connecticut, because you cannot be up in there with a bunch of thousands in Greenwich, Connecticut. Hi, the McMahons. I know we're not supposed to say that name anymore, but the McMahons, Greenwich, Connecticut. Point I'm simply saying is, you would have some form of alarm system in that house. And Tariq came in there with the gun, all just smashing up the windows, okay. And I know that it's just a gripe, it's a small gripe, and Dana, you're overthinking things, and I am, but you just don't understand how frustrated that I am to be invested in these storylines of Bobby sued and crossed Tariq, and this one crossed that one. The whole thing was, I'm enacting my revenge. We opened the episode with, Braden saying, I don't know, Tariq, we need to worry about what's going on in the school and getting our business uploaded. And Tariq is like, nah, I want my revenge. Today it was basically an episode of run around town, chasing each other. That literally was it. Nobody enacted any revenge. And then you could say like, oh, well, Salim died for what? So that maybe in like the final episode or whatever, they're going to pin Salim's murder on Tariq. Like, I genuinely thought we're bringing back this character for a reason, and we're not. And I'm just overly upset about this situationship. And this is not like me, oh, Dana, you're being real sensitive, or whatever. I genuinely care about the show, which is why I'm finding this to be a very frustrating moment for me. I genuinely care about these characters, and I want more. But I'm starting to feel, and this is what I had an argument with my own self with, because I said not have an argument with myself. I'm trying to understand the way how we're going with this ending when it comes to the Tejada family. Is this going to be a big, great powwow? We're back, the family's together again. Monet is being the mom that we never had. Is this because we have seen so many stories where families have fallen apart? If that's what they're trying to do, I can understand and respect that. But at the other side of things, I kind of wanted you can have that resolution by not everything be, I forgive you. Oh, you tried to kill me. Girl, it's okay. It just, to me, feels like you're just creating all of this drama and you're throwing it away. And therefore, as an investor, because I am invested in this show, all of my feelings of what now I understand how selfish that sounds because I'm using but I feel like there is no payoff, and therefore it cheapens my experience, and it does not make me want to revisit again. I am going to equate this to the MCU. Why? MCU has been around for 16 years. This series and all of its spinoffs has been around for 10 years. And you're creating spin-offs and you have these different characters and you look at the MCU, well, the ending is supposed to lead to that and to lead to this. But right now, they are not connecting. And you could say, oh, well, it's an individual story. But what is the overall meaning and message? And you could say, well, there really isn't one. But why is Tariq in the show? Because he's now, this is the friend. He is the Iron Man at this point. He is the one that connects everyone to at least phase 1. We're in phase 1. Now maybe after Origins, the shows that they create after Origins is phase 2. We can look at it that way. But to me, it just seems like this is Quantumanium. You're giving me Quantumanium where I'm presented with Kane, the big bad, and he's giving that speech, have I killed you before? And I'm like, oh, snap, it's going down. And then in the end, you're giving me, he just got zapped up into one of the quantum forces, and we don't know where he at. There was multiple Kanes running around, but that's all right. Loki got a hold of that. We good. The TVA, we good. So therefore, I don't feel like there's a threat. And therefore, I feel that none of these characters are facing a threat. And it's just hunky-dory. Everyone's happy and we're living our life. And that's the message that you want. And if that's the case where you want to go, then I can understand that. But I just wish that it just didn't end in truce, okay. And then Detective Carter, I felt they played their hand too forcefully with this. You know, Detective Carter, he has no jurisdiction. He's coming in there and he's breaking skulls. Who cares about the rules? And then we had that speech basically saying, you know, this is how I run my task force. If you don't like it, please leave. You can run your task force however you want to, but nobody's coming to you because you ain't got none. Okay, cool. And I understand if you want to play a character to be arrogant, cool. But I truly feel that they are writing themselves for that moment to be Carter's downfall. Because he is not someone, you can be both arrogant and listen to all of the advice and take all of the leads. Because I was like, oh, he's gonna take this guy's advice, and then come at the end, he's gonna take credit for everything. You know, that to me, that's like, oh, that's more underhanded than dismissing somebody and said, my mama's refrigerator, she told him to get out. Stealing other people's ideas. Oh, okay, that's how you got ahead. I respect that. But to me, it just felt like they showed that hand too quickly, and that is going to lead to his downfall. Because then you have, at the other end, you're creating this false witness, which I don't know what, and I'm just going off here. Yes, it's a TV show, Dana, but how is all of this admissible in court? Oh, we're going to get them to turn against each other. And they're sitting around texting each other as you're literally standing in front of them. So they seem to be steps ahead. So it just seems like you're just randomly creating things out of desperation. You know, and I'm confused. I'm losing the plot of it. So yeah, and then lastly, I know I done spoke for 85 minutes now, but just give me one more second. I'm sorry about that. I don't want to be too concerned about when it comes to the drug business in terms of being a little sniff. There's nothing wrong with your little, you wanna sniff, that's okay. But Braden is getting a little too sniffy. And he's telling that girl too much information, such as telling her exactly how the whole thing is run. And I don't know if she is the Salim of the group in terms of once you put something, you know, give her some kind of pressure, she's gonna tell everything. See, what was it? Light Skin Keisha, who I think who's a part of the show? Light Skin Keisha. I think if you told her everything, she know how to because she knows the rules. I don't know anything, officer. I haven't seen anything, officer. In fact, I'm legally blind. What's going on? Call me Stevie Wonder. For her, I don't know. So I think that she could be the one who tells too much. And therefore, now we have a prison situationship. And your family has disowned you. I don't know where Becca is. We didn't go back to Becca. Becca could be, I don't know where she is, bless her heart. But Becca's been going through it. So I don't think that he can rely on Becca to help him out. So maybe we might see a situation where it's Tariq that has to come up on that stand and be, hey, officer, I don't know what's going on. You told me to lie. I don't know. But right now, it seems that Braden is doing everything that Tariq told him not to in terms of the product situation. He wouldn't like that. I haven't told him, tell me everything. Here's certain rules. And he's already crossing those rules for some random girl. And I don't know what they're trying to do with this character. I always viewed Braden. Yes, he is the physical one, but he's mentally smart. And I thought that he's the thinker and the plotter and the planner. He put together parties. He can, of course he figured out Course Correct 3.0, but he figured that out. And he's able to plan and do things too. So I thought that you would be more smarter than how he's behaving right now. And I'm slightly worried about him. And I think that's everything because my notes has gone askew because there's a fan blowing. So I'll let everybody else talk.
That was an excellent rant that you went on. Like, that was amazing. You was really cooking right there, for real. And I have to agree that the formula is getting a bit repetitive now with, first there's a war, then everybody makes up, and then there's another war, and then, they're trying to kill each other again, and then there's peace again. Like, it is getting repetitive now because we've been doing this since like the first season almost. Like, so yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. And yeah, it is we as the viewers, we do get invested in these storylines, and then they do kind of like fall flat. They kind of take away the payoff from us when they resolve it so quickly. But yeah, I agree with you there with the repetitiveness, but excellent takeaways. Like you were saying a whole lot of truth, a whole lot. But yeah, I want the people to know, like, when we give these critiques, we still love the show. We still enjoy watching it. We're still entertained. We still appreciate the cast and everybody involved and stars. It's just, we're passionate. We're passionate about this, and this is what we do. We review shows. We review video games. Like, we're journalists. Like, we've been doing this, so it's no slight or anything. This is just how we talk. We say what we think, and it is what it is. But yeah, excellent takeaways, Dana. I loved everything you said. And yeah, of course, I'm the app developer. That's why I chose this name. Like, so I, whenever they need a new app, I get it done quickly. Instantly, almost. Like the app is just live, like just like that. So yeah, it is what it is. But great takeaways. We'll revisit some of those topics when we get to the discussion. And we're going to hear from Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. now. So, Richard, when you're ready, hit us with your takeaways.
Okay, first and foremost, outstanding takeaways by Dana, as well as Gary. If you're watching on the video, you saw I laughed a lot during that because I agree with a lot of what was said. But yeah, outstanding takeaways. And let me start off by saying I was entertained by this episode. There were some things I thought were a little silly. There were some things that I thought were interesting, and then it made me think about how certain stuff is going to play out story-wise. So let me get to my first takeaway. My first takeaway, let me just get into this. The first takeaway is about Noma. Now, let me start by saying I agree 1,000% with what both Dana and Gary have said. I don't like what they're doing with this character this entire season. It feels like when they introduced the character last season, and the way that they introduced her from the very beginning with that whole wedding ring and the person killing the people in the very beginning, that was a very strong statement to let you know this is a character that you don't want to mess with. Okay, and then last season the critique we had was that they didn't have this character in the season enough because there were some episodes that she wasn't in. They kept talking about the character, but she was not there. And then they had the excuse of, well, she was actually visiting Gary over in the UK. This is why you didn't see her on the show. Okay, I understand that. Okay, but coming into this season, it feels as though she is basically, obviously, you saw her take out Obi. I'm sure people like to see that. Yeah, you saw that she still was able to take somebody out. But it's like she's asking for everybody to help her out. And in this episode, They had the whole scene where her visiting Davis, trying to get information so she can get access to those government contracts. And I think it's very interesting how they had this whole flirtatious type of vibe between those two characters, and then they played the same type of music to suggest like some romantic interest. That's what I don't like, because again, Noma is not this type of character. She's supposed to be focused on business. She's supposed to be standing on business. And instead, you have her as a potential character involved in a love triangle with Davis and Kane, because that's how it feels to me right now. Obviously, Kane playing his role, and I do like what you guys said about this episode. We saw Kane evolve as a character. We've been waiting for this character to evolve and grow since this show started, because you felt as though he needed to get his own, and they took a good step forward with the character in this episode, which I'll get into later. But I don't like what they're doing with Noma right now as a character. And like Dana said, I will be waiting for this character to get taken out. We had the thought that maybe she could be on to Kane's plan and she can have a plan of her own to turn the tables on him. It doesn't feel that way though right now, and we're halfway to the season, so I don't really know what they're doing with the character. Not really a fan of it. Obviously, when we see what happens with Anya, what's going to happen with Anya moving forward, we'll see how that impacts her. Because obviously, I think at that point, then she would have to make a lot of power moves and do all types of things. But we'll see what happens. But that's my first takeaway, is about Noma. My second takeaway, I'm going to get to, my name for this episode is Captain Save a Tejada, because it felt like this entire episode, the Tejadas got saved. It would have been great to see Dru get killed by Kane. I would have loved to have seen that, right? All the tension build up. And again, the one thing I do like about this episode, it was very intense. From the very start of the episode, within 10 minutes in, it was intense. Up until Monet had the encounter with Dru and Diana at the motel. Now, a quick comment to make, because I know Dana says she didn't want to nitpick certain stuff. Well, I also am going to nitpick. You had the scene of Monet coming to the motel, demanding, asking the guy at the desk, "Where are my kids at? Tell me the room." And then the guy doesn't tell her. She beats him. Now you beat the hell out of the guy. You don't kill the guy, but you told him your name is Tejada. You think this guy is not going to file a police report and say, "Hey, I was assaulted by this person"? So stuff like that, I didn't quite understand, because there should be consequences for that. Obviously that you didn't. Obviously, I guess you can make the argument if she killed the guy, yeah, that will cause even more of a stir. But I kind of find it hard to believe if that guy doesn't get back to the police that, yes, I got assaulted. This is the issue. But let's see what happens. But let's stick with the Tejadas, okay? So I like the fact that this entire episode, Kane was going after Dru. And then I really like the conversation that Kane had with Dru that you both alluded to. I think that was outstanding acting by Woody McLean, who plays Kane. You get a feel of his emotional journey and how he felt about his relationship with Lorenzo. And we saw how that played out. And now we saw it, and we got a better idea of that by his conversation he had with his brother. So I like that. When he finally did catch up to Dru the second time, and Monet told him to stand down, don't do anything, what I found very interesting about that is, I love the fight scene. I was laughing when Kane jumped up, because, listen, Dru had it coming. He's still talking slick. After your life is spared, you're still talking slick. That's why I wanted Kane to kill him at that point. It says, "Oh, well, you're not going to do it because you're a mama's boy." He should have killed him right then and there. I would have loved to see that happen. Maybe it could still happen. Who knows? But yes, he deserved the whooping he got right after that. With the throwing punches left and right. I love that. So kudos to them for including that. But I do like how they evolved Kane in this episode. And then, of course, when he went to the gala, he put on the act to basically help out Noma. So I like what they're doing with his character. But now let's get to Diana, because I am still talking about the Tejadas. Okay, in this episode, Diana, obviously, she did rely on Salim. She told him what was happening, and then he sent her to his parents' place. And I like Dana said, I agree. I question why there wasn't any alarm system security there. That's kind of silly. But this is what I will say. What I didn't like about what happened at the end of the episode, when Tariq gets there, he's holding her up at gunpoint, and she says, "I'm pregnant." I have to say this. Okay, listen. Tariq as a character, obviously in that moment, when Monet is there you're not going to try to do anything because Monet also had him at gunpoint. But this is what I would say. Tariq is smart enough to know Diana was also messing around with Salim. So for him to just outright act like he believes, oh, I must be the father. And in this age we live in, shout out to Detroit, who left a comment last week. Tariq, you are the father. I want to see my paternity test to prove exactly who the father is. Because to me, it's just ridiculous how in that moment, Tariq will but just believe whatever Diana says. He should know you shouldn't believe him. You don't trust these people. And I'll get into that when I get into the last takeaway. But I just think that is very interesting how all that played out so quickly, how everybody came together and everybody said, okay, we're going to save everybody. Let's just, no peace, no war. But this is the final season. I still want bodies to drop. And I do have a theory about what will happen, which I'll get into here soon. But yeah, I did want to talk about that because the Tejada family is a mess. I think it's interesting they were all saved in this episode, but there's no way that that's going to continue as we only have 6 episodes left in the season. Okay. And finally, my final takeaway of this episode, we need to talk about Tariq and Brayden. This entire episode, Tariq was determined to kill Diana. She had to catch that bullet, right? And at the same time, you have Detective Carter, who has this whole master plan of trying to turn Monet and Tariq against each other. And he had that story. By the way, I do want to make one comment. You guys were talking about Kamal and the fact that he was the one that came to Detective Carter and basically was saying, hey, we should investigate this Zion guy because this guy could be the connection to Roman, and he is right because this is the same guy that Tariq is working with now. But of course, Don Carter says, no, let's not do that. While I do agree with what you both said, that Don Carter does have a dark past, I'm going to make this prediction right now. I think that Camille is going to be the one to discover that, and not Tariq. Because the way he was undermined in this episode, when he had information, and the guy said, no, when you own your own task force, you can do whatever you want to do, but underneath me, you're going to do what I say. So I kind of feel like Kamal is going to be the one that discovers the real story behind Don Carter, and that essentially is going to be what happens later in the season, because there is some type of swerve coming. Like you both said, Michael Ealy, the way he plays the character, there's more to the character, obviously. And the way he lies, like when he had Obi in questioning last week, and he had no pictures, no information, he lies to try to get people to snitch. Something is going to get revealed about that character, so we'll see what happens. But jumping back to Tariq here for a second. A very interesting conversation that Tariq had with Effie in this episode when he told her what had happened and that he found out that Dru and Diana tried to basically have, they played a role in what happened with Monet and his mom is involved. Effie said something very interesting. She told him that you should know when it comes to this type of stuff, you cannot count on trust and loyalty. And it's very interesting that she is the one that said that to him, because when you see what happens later in this episode with Brayden and the fact that he is talking to his new girlfriend, Trouble, and he's so revealing of information about all this stuff about, oh yeah, this is how we're running the business. And then he decides to do this deal with her and says, oh yeah, she wants to take a little bit off the top. And of course, we all see it coming. She's probably going to take more than she said she was going to take. And Brayden is going to get into trouble with Tariq, and he's going to have to be the one to try to take her out now. But this is what I say when you guys made the comment when you said it feels that it is rushed, because Brayden has only met this character. So for them to be at the halfway point of the season, they introduced that now he's in a relationship with the character. He's telling her all this stuff. You know that this story doesn't end well. All right. That character is probably going to get killed by the end of the season. And as a viewer, I don't really care anything about the character because I haven't known the character for that long. So that's why I say, when I say certain stuff feels rushed, and that right there, I think we can all agree. Even people in the comment will probably agree something's going to happen to that character by the end of the season. I think we can all agree on that, but we'll see what happens. But lastly, in terms of what happened with Tariq, Gary made the comment that Tariq was very sloppy in this episode, the way he killed Salim, left the body. And obviously, we don't know if there was a scene they shot where they show what happened to Salim afterward, because they could have very well cut that footage from whatever they did. But yes, Tariq is looking very sloppy, like Ghost was sloppy. When I saw him kill Salim, I instantly thought to myself, going back to Power, the final season, and the whole thing about Ghost killing Gary's favorite lawyer friend, Terry Silver, and just how sloppily that was done, right? That's instantly what I thought of. So you're telling me that Tariq is just as sloppy as his father, the way he killed Salim and left the body there. So I look forward to seeing how they explain that next week. But also, I do want to say, at the very end of the episode, right, when Tariq is at the party, and like Gary said, he obviously is a little bit stressed about the news about Diana, because this is why he's smoking. And then you had Braden make the comment, oh, Tariq is smoking and drinking. Now, I thought I would never see that. Yes, so let's see if he continues down that path. But what I thought was hilarious is the scene where he sees Anya, and then all of a sudden you have this very sinister music that comes into play. Obviously, this is the point of no return. Tariq is about to make a very dangerous decision, messing around with Anya. I just thought that was entertaining to see that, how the tone shifted, because they're telling you that Tariq is savage this entire season. But I think it's hilarious. I just want to make that comment. But overall, like I said at the beginning, I thought this was an entertaining episode. I do agree with some of the critiques that have been made about how certain stuff has been executed on the show. And as you already said, Gary, we are passionate fans. So obviously, if we have an issue with the show, we're going to talk about it. It doesn't really matter. But overall, I am still entertained, and I can't wait to see what happens next week. But I will say this to end out my takeaways. In terms of it being very predictable, let me just say this. Next week is the mid-season finale. And obviously, they are already advertising. Just so you guys know, we have not seen the trailer for the next episode because we're recording this early. But they're advertising the season 5 finale as being, oh, this is going to be a major thing that happens. I can tell you right now what my prediction is of what that is. I feel because Tariq now has this whole deal with Monet, and they said, okay, we're not going to do anything. I predict that Tasha returns in the next episode. She doesn't know any of the stuff that's been happening with Tariq and the Tejadas, and she gets killed. That's how you end it. And then all of a sudden, the truth that Tariq had with the Tejadas is out the door because now his mom is dead. That's what I predict is going to happen. Because there's no way that just everybody's going to come together. It's going to be, oh, the Tejadas do their own thing, Tariq don't do their own thing. Everybody is happy. This is the final season. The stakes have to be raised. So yes, I predict that's what's going to happen. And we will come back and see if that's actually what happens next week. But that's my takeaways.
Excellent takeaways. And Dana, go ahead.
Yeah.
Absolutely excellent takeaways there. I do want to say one thing. First of all, emotional. Sorry for that. Because I wanted to correct something with my own self, because I'm just in the middle of my rant. I can understand why there not being any security alarms in the house. First of all, and I understand this is a contradiction, and I've actually seen this, so this is like actual proof. People who are of that wealth and in those, say, neighborhoods in brackets, they tend to not have their stuff alarmed. They tend to not put on the car alarm or the house alarm because there's a sense of security that you already live in that community. You live in that gated community, so therefore the outside can't get in. And this is actual proof that I've stayed in one of those places where there wasn't any doors or things locked. We all heard, the neighborhood used to be so great. We didn't have to lock our doors. There are certain gated neighborhoods and gated communities where they just don't lock their door because, that's just the comfort of the neighborhood. And it actually happened one time to my mother when she went up to visit a friend, realized that none of the doors were locked and locked everything. And they came back to find that the entire house was locked up. It was hilarious. But yeah, so like proof they don't lock their doors. Another thing I wanted to say in regards to Richard was you talked about there possibly being that love triangle between McClane, Noma, and Kane. I don't see it that way. Here's the one positive thing I will say. Monet is not a man, first of all. She's a woman. And women have to use certain abilities that men can't necessarily use in order to get their way and to negotiate. No matter how great and powerful they are, sometimes they have to rely on their sexuality to do that. So while you can say, oh, it's a love triangle, no. McClane is also a hoe as well. So that moment I never viewed as, oh, there's something between them. I viewed it as, I can use my sexuality to get me what I want, because I can't come to you man to man. My only issue is, why are you doing that with Kane when you're so above Kane? You're you know what I mean? He's inferior towards you. So there's no use to you having to negotiate anything with your sexuality. Kane, on the other hand, I can understand him going that route. So that is one of my things there. And then lastly, it was talked about, the motel. Why didn't Monet? Why didn't the guy? He could easily report some that he was beat up by the Tejadas. I don't see that happening because, again, this is a motel, and sometimes people go to motels to do illicit activities. This is not a hotel. This is not, the Carlisle or, the Four Seasons. This is Pookie and their motel shop. So there's a lot of activities that are going on. And if you call the police, that opens up a situation where they're investigating more than what you called them for. And we don't know what's going on in that place of business. So that's why I feel that he can't call anyone. But again, really great takeaways. I just wanted to clarify that whole, house alarm situation.
Oh yeah, yeah, great takes there. And yeah, excellent takeaways from both of you actually. Um, and yeah, that was interesting what you said about Kamal, Rich, about him possibly being the one to find out about Carter. I do like that take. Obviously last week I predicted that maybe Tariq finds out, but it would make a lot of sense with Camille being there, because there has to be a reason they brought this character back. And, maybe Lorenz Tate is busy. It certainly seems so because, he was name dropped into this episode by, Nomar. She basically says to Davis, I know you're friends with Tate, so, go and talk to him. And, he's like, no, we're not really that cool. So it seems like, they don't have access to Lorenz Tate right now. So that's what it seems like to me. But yeah, I do think that there is going to be something between like Camille and Carter, it seems like, because we already see that kind of tension and rivalry there. And it does make sense that maybe he finds out some dirt on Carter because he's right there with him, I guess. And I'm wondering, what if, like, do you potentially see a scenario where, where Carter might end up killing the character? Because what if he finds out his secret, and then he has to retaliate or try to hide it or something? Do you see a scenario like that, Rich? Maybe.
I definitely see something like that happening because they have to raise the stakes. This is the final season, as they have said multiple times. That'll be quite an interesting twist. Because obviously, what they have told us about Don Carter is he is very obsessed. He has a goal and objective. He will go after it. So if he sees somebody is undermining him and they're not going to go along with his plan, then he will definitely get them out the way so he can continue doing what he's doing. So that is possible. And I will make one other comment. I know that Lorenz Tate is filming the Michael Jackson biopic, but this show has been done for a while now. So I kind of feel like he could show up in at least 1 or 2 episodes towards the end. If something happens to his brother, I feel like the character will show up because, I mean, they are still brothers. But we have to wait and see. So we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, I still think it's possible we could see him, at the end or something, or who knows? He might be in the second half of the show or something like that. But yeah, I guess he just wasn't available for these episodes. But Dana, did you have any thoughts on that? Like, do you think Kamal might find out about Carter? And like, do you think where do you see this going between them?
That absolutely can happen, and that just ends up giving us the same thing that we saw on BMF between the detective with the glasses and that girl who got shot in the car. So yay for that. But yes, I do see that because he ended up doing what he wanted to, what he initially stated that he wanted to do before. No, actually he didn't. See, oh wait, I'm contradicting myself. Here's the thing. He fell in line after that conversation because he questioned Tariq, and he also went with the fake eyewitness. So I'm starting to wonder if he'll just be that character who falls in line because he didn't go and question Roman. He didn't question the Zion guy. He didn't question anyone that he initially brought to Detective Carter. He fell in line. So I can, for writer's sake, yes, I can see that happening. But from what we're getting on screen, no. I think he just might end up falling in line because he is, as he said, he's head of the task force, and that he's just following orders in that regard. And the other kid, he's not there because he's busy hanging out with Michael Jackson. So I think that the only thing that is best for him in his career is for that. And then we have to wonder who is going to be the one that brings down Detective Carter, and it might just be his own self. Or who's to say that Kamal didn't complain to, I don't know, whomever internal affairs or whatever, and says that we're trying to get this dude with a fake, some fake evidence. And that's how he ends up getting investigated by internal affairs that way. Isn't that kind of what Angela went through in the original Power? So I see that happening.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very curious one because like I'm really curious to know how Carter even got his power, like because it seems like he has a lot of power, like he has like no jurisdiction, and he can kind of just do whatever he wants, like he has free reign. Like, does he have a boss? Like, does he have a chain of command or anything? Like, it's like he can literally just do anything he wants, and I feel like Kamal has to keep him in line. Oh, you're muted, Dana.
And then remember, he only got into the situation because Whatchamaface was crying and moping and sugar boogering all over his shirt. Remember when he was in that church?
Oh, pause.
And then
Yeah.
what was Paz came in? Oh, they killed my son. You have to help me. That's the only reason why he seems to be interested in this case. And what's even funny, and I know this is only the first half, I want a second Paz appearance because this whole thing is because of you. Are we going to see her again? I want to see her again. So, yeah, I do.
Let me just make a comment and say I hope we don't see her again. But hey, let's see what happens.
Oh, whoa, that was harsh.
No, because remember, he died and we never got any kind of follow-up behind that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%. The character could show up again. It felt to me like after seeing what happened to her son, Agent Young, they just said, okay, your time in this storyline is over. Now we'll have Don Carter take it from here, and he'll be the focus for the rest of the season. That's how I felt. But because she show up again, of course, you just have to wait and see if that's the plan.
When we talk about rushed, that's definitely one like plot point that was rushed. The whole Junior, him getting killed and then pause, like that just seemed rushed, like because they were really building this character up like he was going to be something, like, and then just like that, episode 1, boom, you're out here.
But I can respect that though, because that to me is more authentic than him living to an old age. You're involved with these gang activities, you're supposed to be ruthless, you're coming in to me without any backup, without any sign of support or telling anybody anything. You're following a case that you were specifically told not to follow. So you got. Boo-hoo. That's literally you meeting the consequences of your actions. You effed around and now you found out what half a brain on the floor. So I'm okay with him being killed. My whole thing is you brought in Pause to do the boo-hoo-hoo, woe was me, my son is dead story, and we just kind of never really got back to that again. And it's not even like, hey, we're going to link you to this murder and that murder and Junior. It was just like, we know that you're a part of some big crime organization and you work with the Sahadas. Okay. I just felt like there was more that you could do with that storyline that they just did not do. And this again, I wonder if they were writing and within that, they got 4 episodes in and they got, hey, knock knock on the door. Sorry to tell you guys, but we're canceled. Finish this up. And therefore they have to, change everything that they initially had planned for this ending so that it ties up into Origins. Or, the Tommy is now being coming back together and we're getting the Force of Ghost show.
Yeah. the Force Ghost show, or yeah, whatever it's gonna be, the combination. But so I mean, with Carter, I guess, is it safe to say at this point that he is dirty? And like, if he is dirty, to what extent do you think that he's dirty? Do you think he's the kind of dirty cop that just has a grudge against, Tariq and will do anything to stop him, even if he has to break the rules? Or do you think he's dirty to the point he's actually involved in the drug game, or he's working with some major connects or something like that? Like, what is the extent of his dirty? What do you think, Dana?
Okay, I feel this. I feel that, here's the thing. I think that he is willing to get you no matter what. That's what I mean by dirty. I feel that, any kind of illegalness that he has to involve himself into, he is going to get you. I don't view him as someone who is, I'm selling drugs too. I'm corrupt too in regards to my connection with, Pookie and how we secretly have this drug organization. I don't see that at all with him. I just see him being a cop who is willing to cross illegal means in order to make sure that he gets that arrest. And we've seen that twice already. We've seen that with, Obi. Remember how what do you have these pictures? There were no pictures. We see this now with this invisible witness. For a moment, he got me because I'm like, maybe it's Two-Bit. I don't know. But Two-Bit wouldn't be that dumb. So that's how I view him as being dirty. I view him as he will plant, if he has to plant something on you in order to get you arrested, that's how he is. But anything else involving him being in the streets and dirty, no. But I will say this, I initially, and this again could be a my thing, because I initially thought, I was not told, but when we all read that synopsis of who Don Carter was, oh, he must be involved with, if not Tariq, he must have some grudge against Ghost. Because remember, his wife was gunned down right outside the hospital by 2 rival gangs. Who's to know what that gang was? Was this going back to, Ghost and Tommy days? Why does he knows who Ghost is so much so that, there's anger when he says his voice. So I was starting to wonder, well, is that history? But we're not seeing that. I think he would have clearly said, oh, we have history together. You and your remember when he gave that whole monologue about how terrible Ghost was. He would have easily slipped in there. Yeah, and I met him back in, I don't know, 2013. And he did me wrong. And he looked at my girl. And then he shot me in my pinky toe. He didn't do any of that. So I just think that once he's assigned a case, or when someone comes to him, please, you gotta help me. They killed my son. Then he is going to take that case and get justice no matter what. And going back to why I was angry, I would have preferred if this was more of a personal thing, as opposed to this is just a career for me. I would have preferred there be personal ties, because the way how he's acting, I genuinely don't care with his character. He's just the bad guy who's coming, good detective, bad cop, good cop. Kamal is the good cop right now, and Carter is the bad cop. But if you have something that's personally invested, well, Tommy, he was the one who shot his wife. And this is why he hates Tariq so much, because he's afraid that now the next person, they're going to get their kids killed. So, but we're not giving me that. You're just giving me a guy with no jurisdiction who's going to get you no matter what. And that is his mission. And you can argue that that could be more threatening because you could say, oh, well, look at it in a Thanos situation where he's just looking at the world at large and he's seeing that all the resources are being depleted. So he feels that this is his mission to save the world. And then you can, that he is non-negotiable, he's unstoppable that way. But for some strange reason, I just can't connect to Carter. And I just don't care right now. So I don't know what it is. Maybe, again, if he was more open to Kamal, maybe. But he's just playing this so headstrong. I don't know. But then again, Thanos was very headstrong. But it's just not connecting for me.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I wish they kind of gave us like more with his motivation of like, and maybe connected it to something that happened prior, in old Power, because there were a lot of like shootouts and violent like scenes in the original Power that they could have made a connection to, and then we would be a lot more invested to see where this goes if we knew that it was connected or something. But I mean, maybe that could still happen. That could be the big twist. Who knows? But yeah, I agree that we're still kind of left wondering what's really the mystery about this character. Like, what why is he so important? Why is he doing everything he's doing? Go ahead, Dana.
I just had the most random thought in my head that probably doesn't even make sense. What if he was the husband to Angela?
The what?
Angela's husband.
Angela's
His whole
husband?
home was wrecked. I know. I was just saying, random thought in my head. What if he was Angela's husband? Obviously, it's not. They're not connected. But you know what I mean? By that close is a connection to like, oh, that's why he hates Ghost so much. He was secretly Angela's husband, or Angela's brother. That kind of twist. You go, oh, she's the reason why she got killed. She's the reason why there was a downfall because of this family. Oh, it's unstoppable now because that's too personal. So that would have been interesting. But yeah, no, he's just a random person.
Yeah, I mean, they could easily, tie it back to some of the OG characters, with him being a cop. Like, he could have ties to a lot of people. So if they wanted to do that twist, they could definitely do it. But I guess they're kind of just leaving it up as a mystery right now and just kind of teasing us and stringing us along with it. But Richard, what do you think about Carter? Like, is he McNulty in season 5 of The Wire, or is he Alonzo in Training Day? Alonzo in Training Day, is he? Which one is he?
Well, first and foremost, there is only one Denzel Washington, Gary. So we cannot. We got to put some respect on his name. This guy is Alonzo Light. He's not fully Alonzo, but I think he's a.
Light.
Yeah, let's say Alonzo Light. And again, like, you understand the motivation of him wanting to take out the bad guys at no matter what. But the way he conducts business, the way he handles himself, they really emphasize to show you he's taking a different approach to how he does things. And again, for me, it highlighted in this episode when he had the conversation with Kamal. Now, yes, can Kamal fall in line and work with him? Yes, of course he can, right? But it kind of feels like the way that they position this, and then they showed you in the previous episode how he lied to Obi about having photo evidence of him hanging out with Tariq. They're showing you this for a reason, that this guy is underhanded. Yes, he will do whatever he wants to do. He wants to go after the bad guys, right? And sometimes you have to play dirty to get the bad guys. I understand that. But again, to go to the point that you made before, Gary, this guy definitely has some secrets. And I think it's so hilarious because in the first episode of the season, this guy goes to a confessional, basically confessing to the pastor, yes, I'm still going through the stuff with my wife, to try to give you the impact that this is a good guy, right? He's a good guy. He just really wants to get rid of the criminals. And then all of a sudden, as the season continues, you see he obviously has some secrets in his closet. So I think that revelation is coming. I don't know if it's coming in the mid-season finale. It may be something that happens in the second half of the season, but I definitely think there is a lot more to the character. And go to the point that Dana made about maybe he has a connection to Angela. It very well could have been somebody that dated Angela in the past. This would explain why he knew who Paz was and how and you know. But again, he didn't show up when Angela died. This character was nowhere to be found. There wasn't no mention of this character, so that's why I don't know if he has a connection to her or not. But what I am saying is that he has some type of. I still think he has some type of connection to Ghost. Because again, when he made the comment to Tariq, you smell just like him. How the hell he know how ghosts smell? I mean, how the hell does he know his son is exactly like Ghost? He has to know some stuff about Ghosts, or had some type of interaction or something with Ghosts in the past. So I want to see how they explain that. Or he could just be a regular cop who just doesn't like criminals. I think it's more to that though. But we have to wait and see what that is.
Yeah, you are right about that, you know. He must have been close, like not close, but like he must have been around Ghost at some point, you know, with how he acts towards Tariq. So yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do think we're going to learn a lot more in episode 5. Hey, it would be amazing if episode 5 maybe ends with him catching a body, like we just see him out of nowhere kill someone, and then we're like, whoa, okay, so he really is dirty, like, so that would be an interesting way to end season 5. But I think that the Tasha thing is the best way to do it, because we have to see that evolution of Tariq's character. He is the main character, so I think that's the best twist for episode 5.
And let me just make one quick comment, because I think Dana's going to make a comment too. Like you said before, Gary, this is a game of chess, and they are positioning and acting as if the next episode completely changes the game. So some stuff has to happen in the next episode. That's why I said, if somebody gets killed, perhaps a key legacy character like Natasha, that'll be great. But if something happens with Carter in that episode and it is revealed that he has another agenda, that'll be awesome too. But I feel like a lot of stuff has to happen in the next episode, because we got to want to anticipate seeing the second half of September. So it has to end on a high note to get us excited to see what happens next in the fall. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. You're gonna say something, Dana? Oh, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you. Yeah, you're muted or something. We can't hear you, no.
Yeah, technical difficulties.
I think stars do not want, they don't want Dana saying something bad about the show. No, it's you may have to, I don't know what happened with the audio. Okay, there it is. We hear you now.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, yeah. So basically what I was saying is this. I was saying that, first of all, that Angela situationship, I think, is a joke. I just meant like in terms of, I just do want there to be some kind of connection. My whole thing is I'm just wondering that, I'm just trying to figure out, we know that he's trying to get to Tejadas, and he's also trying to get Tariq. And he's trying to get, to get some big RICO. I think he's trying to get maybe even a RICO case. That's how much he's invested in this situation. I think I would have loved to have seen that he is the head of a task force, right? I'm seeing no force with the task. That's my issue thing. You have come on, Jamal, whatever his name is, coming in every, once in a while, knock on the door, and he's being, I'm running this. There's no one there that's an active force. It just seems like one man on a lone mission. And that is also my other issue with that. I'm not seeing, multiple people coming together. Where is that good old fashioned whiteboard with the marker, and we're writing out our ideas and we're doing the circles, remember the circle thing in the picture, and we're tagging that up. We're not getting that. And so it does not feel like a task force for me. I don't feel like we're the whole evidence in the whole crime situation. Yeah, it seemed to me that Carter was the last one who was at the spot when Rome's, whole shipment went up in flames. He just seems to be behind on anything that is a force. Kamal is doing stuff that you would think a task force would do. And it seems to me two lone men out on a mission that's not working together. I'm just trying to further figure out what was the initiative, what is the point as to why he is returned, or not even returned, why is he here? To show, oh, this is an unorthodox cop. Okay, cool. But it doesn't seem like, oh, I got this guy, I'm turning this one over. And I wish that we could have seen more of this. And granted, we are only 4 episodes in, but we're almost at the halfway point. And unless it's, the final hour, here's all this mounting evidence. We're all doing, Tariq and Monet is doing the perp walk. I feel like we're just floundering with this character at the moment. And I just kind of want more from him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have enjoyed watching the character so far, but yeah, I just want to know, like, what's the deal with this guy? Like, what's making him tick a little bit. But I guess we'll get our answer maybe next week. Might find out something. But just one more thing on Carter though. So like, do you think that he might be the link to Tasha? So we see in this episode that he has a conversation with Monet. And he puts the shooting on Tariq. He suggests that Tariq did it because somebody fit his description, ran away from the scene or whatever. We know that that's a lie, basically. But but do you think that maybe he learns that it was actually Tasha who was just the shooter, and maybe he tells Monet, because we know that these two characters are going to meet again. We've seen the pictures of Carter and Monet. So maybe he's the one who tells her, like, this is who it really was who shot at you. And, to kind of stir the pot a little bit more to get the Tejadas and Tariq beefing, since that's his agenda. Do you think that maybe that's what happens? Go ahead, Rich.
I think that is a fair and valid point for one key reason. We have to remember that when Carter approached Tariq, and I believe it was in episode 2, when he was doing the shakedown, he was the one that told Tariq, yeah, your mom has a lot of people coming after her. And he made the comment, yeah, I know she's going to be getting kicked out of Witsat soon. Now that he is in a conversation with Monet prior with this episode here, it's not out of the realm of possibility he can provide this information to her. He's obviously trying to turn her and Tariq against each other. But again, he can change that gameplay at any time because he's the one that's doing all of this by his own rules anyway. So I think that is possible. And like you said, Gary, we did see scenes of Monet and Don Carter on the bridge. That right outside the bridge. There were photos of that as well. So they obviously are going to have another conversation because he's still trying to get information on her about Tariq. So yeah, we just have to wait and see. But I think that's something that could definitely happen.
Yeah, what do you think, Dana?
I forgot about those bridge photos. I'm slightly frustrated because to me it's this. Monet has reached her come to Jesus moment, which I never believed anyway, and I think I will never believe. But she's reached her come to Jesus moment of, I just want to keep my family protected. Maybe the key word is this there. I want to keep my family protected. And she may have reached a thing where as long as my family is safe, I can still do whatever I want to do. So therefore, even though I have put a truce with Tariq, I have not made that truce with his mother. But then also at the same time, Monet should or could or really should more understand what it's like for a child to protect their parent, because that is no different than what the Tejadas has done. Remember what the motto was: family first, family first. So Tariq took that fall instead of Tasha. It was Tariq who, who knows who the real killer is and everything else. But he stepped up and said, yeah, it was me, in order to make sure that Tasha was protected. So that is kind of where I am more so saying no to. But at the same time, there was those photos with him on the bridge. Now, who's to say this? What if Tariq and Monet come together, even though he ran out that door with the quickness? Hey, you the baby daddy. What? And he took off running. What if they came together because they needed Carter to be stopped? And therefore, as a result, we can't do this alone, but we can do this together. And therefore, hey, let's pretend we're at odds. Let's pretend this so we can set up Carter and take him down. I don't think that they're going to shoot him. I think that'll just be, I don't think at this point. I don't know. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I don't think so. But to me, it just feels like they're going to be in a situation where they're going to have to take all of their resources to get him off of their back. Because even though we have a truce, that's not going to stop Don Carter from respecting that. That's not going to say, oh, well, that's the end of the investigation, I guess. Where everyone's good. It doesn't look like she's going to sell at this moment. Her family's in shambles, and then they came back together again. So maybe she's going to win Mom of the Year. And Tariq, that's just one big other thing we're going to just have to let go. And they made it sure that he's someone who's not going to let things go. So that is what I think those photos mean at that moment. Because to break that truce again, it's just, I'm just saying this, put it on for me. It's exhausting. We're having truces. We're killing each other again. We're having a truce. We're killing each other again. And it's like, I just don't know where that end point is at this moment. Unless something happens and we just all die. Because to me, it feels like the story cannot move forward if we keep going back and forth. If there's 10 steps ahead and then 2 steps back, we're still not reaching that finishing line. So they have to come together in order to take him out. That's how I feel.
No, yeah, I think there's a real possibility of that happening, of Carter becoming such a big threat that they have to get together and take him down. I do think there's definitely some plausibility to that theory. But yeah, interesting thoughts. So I'm gonna move on to Diana now. We have to, of course, talk about her a little bit. So we see what happened with, when Tariq showed up at the house, Salim's parents' house. And, basically Diana and Monet end up talking Tariq down from killing her. And she reveals that, she's pregnant and it's his baby and everything. Now, me personally, I thought, I was quite surprised that she didn't bring up her pregnancy when she was with Salim. I thought maybe she was going to mention it there. And, that would, of course, make sense if it was his. But she didn't mention it at all to Salim. But then she mentioned, now with the Tariq thing, we don't know if she really thinks that it's his, or if she just said that to get out of the situation, right? So I want to ask you guys, do you really think that she believes it's Tariq's child, or do you think there's still some doubt there? And also, I'm curious, what her reaction is going to be when she finds out about Salim being dead. Assuming he's dead, because who knows? I think he is dead, but who knows? But yeah, what's her reaction going to be? Because I think her reaction will also say a lot, to that as well. So, you guys can chime in on that also, what you think her reaction might be when she finds out about that. But yeah, the question is, does she actually believe Tariq is the father? And, also, how will she react to Salim being dead if he is? So what would you think about that, Dana?
Okay, so when I speak on this topic, I want people to realize these are fictional characters. No one's real. Diana does not exist. She's fictional, and so is that fetus. I think that she is in no place to raise a child. I am fearful for that generational trauma and for that to happen. I do believe that Diana is smarter than her mother and therefore will not make those same mistakes. But I do not believe that Diana has the mental capacity at this moment to bring in new life. And I think that Monet would more than understand this. And so I feel that it was best, again, fictional fetus, that the fetus is not brought into this world. The child the child does not exist. I think that it would be best for that way because nobody is in that position. And I think Diana and all, if she has that freedom that Monet claims that she's giving, and Kane saying, Dru and Diana, you are out the game, I think she should worry about being just that and being a young adult and going to school and making a career and finding happiness elsewhere. And then later down the line in her life, she can revisit and have children again. If we're being serious at that moment. But in terms of the question that you asked, which I honestly forgot at this moment what that question was, I think that it would. What was the question?
Oh yeah, so the question was like, does Diana really think Tariq is the father, and how will she react if Salim is dead?
I believe she does think that Tariq is the father. I think that she knows in her literal gut that Tariq is the father. Yes, but how will she react with Salim? I think that she'll know that she can't trust Tariq. I think that she will know that Tariq was the one that killed him because she knew that Tariq is the one that's looking for him. And then all of a sudden, Salim just randomly died. So I do believe that she will know that, and that is what is going to prevent her from allowing from him. I think she's going to be if she does decide to keep the child, I believe she will be a single parent without Tariq, because I don't think that she can trust him, and I think that she would be too scared of him. You killed Salim over this? There were many opportunities, and we brought it up in season 2 as to why Salim should die. He was a threat to her, not just to her, to Tariq and everybody's family. And that's when we were like, oh, Salim has to die. But I think that Salim in season 3 at this moment was so far removed, and that he was living with himself, and in terms of understanding what it was like for him to be a person with money and to probably no longer have to fake being rich. If you see that house, he basically lived in Richard's house. But he was okay with himself. And I think that Diana was okay with him and came to terms with everything. And even though she went to him because she needed him at that moment, I do believe that conversation that she had with Salim was genuine. I do believe that she honestly forgave him. And I do believe, in all honesty, that she was sorry for her actions as well. And that he had a conversation of, I just wanted you to be more than what your family is. And I think that those are the words that's going to stick with her the most. So I do think that, she is going to be very upset that he is dead. And that is going to motivate her to get Tariq out of her life. And if she and that child has to go, okay. And if that fetus, again, fictional, has to be terminated, okay. Because, again, it's a connection to a world that she doesn't want to be connected to. And she made actions when she was young and dumb. So that's what I think.
Wow, interesting thoughts. Yeah. Yeah, very that would be very dramatic to see all that play out if she decides to get rid of it and stuff.
But it's honest. It would be a very honest moment.
Oh yeah, definitely. That takes a lot of honesty and self-awareness to know that this isn't this isn't the right situation for this baby. Like, this baby can't survive in this situation because it's going to be a bad situation. So it takes a lot of personal understanding. So yeah. For real. Richard, what's your take on this whole Diana thing? Like, do you believe that, does she believe that Tariq is the father? And also, how will she react to Salim being killed?
Well, first and foremost, let me just make this comment. As Dana said, these are fictional characters, but I'm gonna tell you right now, in my opinion, Diana is a very trifling character. Now, let me explain to you why. Because obviously she was pregnant, and I don't like the fact that she didn't open up and tell Salim about this. If whether or not it's his kid, he was intimate with her. So obviously, as a viewer, you kind of want to get confirmation on who the actual father is. And then when they have the whole showdown at the end, and Tariq is there, and she says, "Oh yeah, Tariq is the father." The thing is this, like I said earlier, we need confirmation of this. I'm not going to go on no hearsay of somebody saying it, and then there's no proof to back up the evidence that yes, that this guy is the father. Yes, we know that Tariq messed around with her after she was with Salim, but Salim could still be the father too. And you would have to know the timeline to really understand who the father could have been. But I just think overall, as a character, I don't think that she is ready to have a kid. I don't know if they're going to go down that path of her, doing that whole thing. But when I saw this scene, I literally, my instant reaction after watching this episode, and I texted Gary, I said, I hope Tariq isn't the father now. Because to me, it's like, for it to happen, and for him to just have that, just like be like, oh, I guess I am the father because she said it. I would be questioning her up and down, like, wait a second. So I need a paternity test or something. And obviously he couldn't do that, obviously, because at the moment he was being held at gunpoint by Monet. I understand that. I get that. But I just think it's a little ridiculous for the character to feel like, okay, he's not going to question whether or not Diana is lying. We'll find out in the next episode if that is the case. All right. But overall, I don't think that, I do think that she possibly believes that he is the father. What I would like to see happen is that she gets a paternity test and it is revealed that Salim is the father. And right after it's revealed, Tariq kills her. Game over. That's it. Because, like you said, Gary, when he heard that she was pregnant, he was still ready to take her out. And then Monet said, "No, wait, hold on. No, hold on. Wait a second." When they say you're the father, okay, I can't do nothing now. We know Tariq is not in a position to raise a kid right now. He needs to worry about himself, and he got a lot of other stuff on his plate. Diana also not in a position to do it either. And let me also make this comment. This might be considered controversial. I don't think Monet deserves a happy ending whatsoever. This character is horrible. She's a horrible mother, and she's talking about, oh, I need to be here to take care of my grandkid. Knowing the backstory of what we have seen this character do this entire season, I mean, and how the kids felt when they wanted to take her out, I think they had the right mindset to take her out because she would be absolutely dangerous for that grandkid. Yeah, raising the grandkid. Let me teach the grandkid how to make crack and all this other stuff. Come on now. This is somebody who does not deserve a happy ending. Yes, they deserve a second chance or forgiveness, whatever, but I still think that character gets taken out by the end of the season. This is just my opinion because there's no way she deserves a happy ending. And to go to Courtney Kemp's credit of what she said when they killed Ghost off the show, none of these people are positive, good characters. They deserve what's coming to them. And at the end of the day, that's a character that she shouldn't have a happy ending. All the stuff, the damage she's done to all of her kids, it's still there and it's still going to be there no matter what. You can talk it out as a family, whatever. Still, I'm not expecting a happy ending for most of these characters, and Monet especially, because they show too many flashbacks of all the bad decisions that she's made. There's no way this character should be redeemed, in my opinion. But let's see what happens.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like Monet will definitely have the grandchild like counting grams of coke as their homework, as their math homework. like yeah, like she's definitely not the ideal grandparent. Based on these flashbacks we're seeing how manipulative, how terrible of a mother. Like I believe somebody said, was it Dana? But somebody said like she is like the worst power mother so far we've seen so far. So yeah, this child needs a better a better future. You know, if this child is birthed, it needs a better, path ahead than anybody else in this show has gotten. Like this baby has to be like the rebirth of these characters. It has to be like, this is going to be the good character, the one that's set on the right path. But it doesn't seem like that's possible at this moment if all of these characters are in the mix. So go ahead, Rich.
And let me just make one last comment. I think it's very interesting that Janet knew that Diana was pregnant, because that, to me, obviously she had her, Janet has been the voice of reason, giving advice to Monet, to be there for her. But obviously, because that Monet obviously is a character that can change, has all these dynamics, Janet's whole reason for being on this show, very well, she could be the one that takes care of that baby after all of this is over with, because she is the only one that is level-headed. She's a nurse. She actually is trying to do positive things, or you haven't seen her do anything negative to anybody in the show. So she feels like she would be a better person to take care of that kid right now than Monet. That's all I'm going to say. Go ahead, Dana.
No. Here's why not. One, it's a repeation of Zeke. Two, Janet said, get your family together. She never gave an indication of, I'll be here for you. Maybe I'll be here from afar and I love you. Hey, guys. But in terms of raising a child, no, absolutely not. No, there's literally no reason for her to take care of that baby. And again, repeation of Zeke. And the whole thing of, I forgive you, mommy. I forgive you, Diana. Is basically, we're not going to repeat the past. It's Zeke 2.0. I don't want to see that. You literally learn nothing.
Well, just one thing. We haven't got confirmation about her connection to Zeke yet. They haven't done that yet in the show. So
the storyline itself would be a repeat. The storyline of itself would be another repeat of Zeke, because Zeke was the mother cousin to whomever sister it was, and then he was raised elsewhere, and they all grew up thinking that was the cousin, when it actually was the brother. It's literally going to be a repeat of the family again. Oh, I can't raise you, so here your aunt's going to raise you, and you call her mom.
Well, maybe the intention won't be to pretend that it's her child or something. Like maybe it would just be like this child will have a better life with Janet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And that initially was, I see the thing with Zeke is, it was to give Zeke a better life. So it's literally the same thing. I can't raise you. Go with your aunt and have a better life. It's just repeating the same thing over again. And we therefore haven't learned anything in everything that the family has been through. It's just the same thing over again.
Yeah.
So that's just my issue with it.
Yeah, one thing about Janet though is like I keep going back to what you said last week, Dana, about her possibly being the one to kill Monet, because they keep bringing up the medicine. They keep kind of like subtly mentioning, the medicine and stuff, and it's like she is the one that could easily, take out Monet if it comes to that. If there's a reason that they need to do that. I see in these flashbacks that she is a terrible person. So maybe, when things go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, maybe when things escalate and because right now it seems Monet is in a peaceful place and she wants to do right by her kids, but we know that could easily change, and maybe she'll end up wanting to kill them again. And if she does get to that point, Jeanette would be in the perfect position to put a stop to that.
I just want to make a quick comment. That will change, Gary, because there was a scene of Dru meeting up with Monet at a bar. So, and that did not look like that was a pleasant conversation they had when you saw him walking away from Monet. So I kind of feel like, yes, it was all, everything was nice at the end of this episode, but there's some more drama to come. So stay tuned.
And I would like to say, Janet, go to ATL. We love you. We'll see you later. That now has to shift to Kane's responsibility. I feel that after that whole monologue of I feel the same thing too, I wanted to become daddy's number 2, but it was Monet who stopped us. but I still didn't kill my mom. I still held down the family. I still made sure everybody was good. I think that we're going to probably see Kane come to his emotion. And between Monet saying, hey, you a mommy's boy, she might snap and be the one who kills her. And it'd be something you couldn't predict. Because we see Dru, I'm going to kill you, mama. And we've seen Diana, we're going to kill you. But Kane being the one to do that, I think will take everybody by surprise. So I feel that Koalition responsibility now has to shift over to Kane. That way he is completely free. Because everything that Dru went through, he was just internalizing. And I feel that internalization could be more violent than Dru literally, showing his emotions everywhere. Because he has nowhere to turn to. He has literally nobody to see. Dru has Diana, and they came up with that plan, and they left out Kane for that reason of, oh, you're gonna tell mom, see, you're too close, you don't care. But I think Dru has no one. He's not gonna tell Monet. He has literally no one, and I feel that he may end up being the one who does it.
What, Kane? You think Kane's gonna do it?
Yeah, it's the whole monologue was me saying that Kane is the one who's gonna kill Monet.
Yeah, I agree. It does. That would make a lot of sense because he does have the mama's boy complex on him, and he is trying to shake that. And we see that he is dealing with a lot of trauma. I do think we're gonna get some more flashbacks of his history with Monet, like when he was younger, and maybe that will shed some more light on the nature of their relationship and stuff. So yeah, that's completely plausible too. It could be Kane. That's the one to take her out. So yeah, that definitely checks out. I could see that happening. Yeah. Any more thoughts before we move on to the next question? Any more thoughts on the Diana and the Tejadas in general? Okay. Yeah, so next question is basically like, do you think Tariq, so we see Brayden, he's kind of going down a bit of a destructive path, he's sniffing a lot. And it is, look, it is possible to sniff some coke and not be addicted if you do it here and there, but he's sniffing a lot now. Like and the more he does it, the more he's slipping down that road of addiction. And this girl is clearly a bad influence on him. I believe we're calling her Trouble. So she's a bad influence on him, and she's already like causing friction between Brayden and Tariq by now making Brayden give her some extra, drugs from the supply and stuff like that. And she told him, just don't tell Tariq, so do you guys, like, what do you think is going to happen when Tariq finds out about this? I'm not even going to ask, will he find out? Because he's clearly going to find out. So what do you think Tariq is going to do? Now, in season 3, we see that there was quite the rivalry between these two characters, between Tariq and Brayden. They fought quite a lot in the last season, but after what happened at the end of season 3 and the beginning of this season, it seems like they've built kind of a close bond. Like they're really at this point, they're really like number one, number two. They got each other's backs. But now Brayden is kind of like slipping away and making side moves. So is this going to cause some unrepairable friction between the two moving forward? And what is Tariq going to do when he finds out about what Brayden is doing with Trouble? So Richard, what's your take on that?
Well, trouble. So here's the thing. Let me just start by saying Brayden has had an absolutely wild progression as a character from last season to this season. This is a guy that last season, I can't kill nobody. I don't want to kill anybody. And then by the end of the season, he has to kill his Uncle Lucas but that was a mistake. Fast forwarded to the start of this season, where this guy, obviously, once again, ladies and gentlemen, I trained him and Tariq on how to use weapons, and he's just shooting people left and right in the season premiere. So I thought that was very interesting progression for the character. When you made the comment, Gary, about certain stuff feels rushed, I made the comment that I felt like this relationship he has with this girl, this just came about very fast. And obviously, when you know that this is only a 10-episode season, there's only 6 episodes left. I kind of feel like they could have taken more time to tell this story. But again, let's see what happens over the next couple episodes. But to answer your question specifically, what I find interesting is that Tariq still doesn't tell Brayden everything. We already saw that this season when the whole thing happened in the previous episode with Effie and the fact that he was using Effie to get information. And he's texting Pinky back and forth, and he doesn't really tell Brayden any of this stuff. He's just making moves that he needs to make, and then later on, he can meet up with Brayden. So to answer your question, Gary, when Tariq finds out about this, because he will find out about it, obviously he'll be angry at Brayden, but Brayden's also going to say, well, where were you at, man? This whole time, I was asking you for help, and you going off doing all this other stuff, handling your own business. So I kind of feel like Brayden would be right to also question Tariq. But yes, they will get into it. It's probably as far as having arguments. I don't know if it's going to get physical like it did last season. But obviously, Brayden's mistake in this episode, you're giving way too much information to Trouble. And I kind of feel like one of two things are going to happen. Like you both said, either she will reveal this information, or because we saw that she likes to use product, she very well could OD on this product. Now this would bring attention to where did she get the drugs from? And then they see that, they're having these parties and stuff like that. So it would bring more attention to what they're doing with the business in a negative way. That's how this could blow up very quickly for Brayden. So we have to wait and see what happens. But what I'm saying is that it definitely won't end well for him as far as this relationship, this storyline. And I think it's interesting how they have progressed it so fast, because it lets you know something is going to happen. Now, I don't think it's going to happen in the mid-season finale next week. I mean, I could be wrong, but definitely in the second half of the season, something's going to happen with these two characters. But we have to wait and see.
Wow, I like that prediction. I like that prediction of maybe she overdoses and this kind of blows up the whole operation, because remember, they're using influencers to kind of get the word out about the parties and stuff. So like, what if enough people start talking about this, like, oh, this girl from this group, she died of a drug overdose and stuff, and like at this illegal party or underground party or whatever, and then that gets somebody like Carter sniffing around. So yeah, that I like that prediction, Rich. That's a really good one. Dana, what's your thoughts on what do you think Tariq is going to do when he finds out?
I 1000% co-sign everything that Richard said. This from day 1,000 has been completely Tariq's idea. Oh my God, they made me work 3 jobs and I'm only getting $10.50 an hour. I cannot survive. I have to sell the cars. This whole thing has been Tariq's situation. And one of the things that I know is too early, but I also don't know what's going to happen in the end in terms of what's going on with them spinoffs. I want my Brayden to keep acting. I want him to still be in this universe of the powers. The thing for me is I feel that Brayden he has been doing a what do you call him? He's a follower, not a doer. Everything that Tariq says, he does. And I am upset at this moment. But in a way, I can spin this into something positive. But then again, it's still negative. I feel that Brayden has been abandoned ever since he started ever since we got the Tariq Revenge Tour. I feel that he has been left on his own, and therefore he has not had the proper guidance. But at the same time of being left on his own, he has been able to flourish with Course Correct 3.0. And I think that what he is doing right now is a good job. But what happens is when he is not with Braden, not Braden, when he is not with Tariq and he is stuck by himself and he doesn't have those resources to talk to anyone, this is where he's going to start. He talks to Trouble because Trouble is just that girl with that ear that's always open. But Trouble, I feel, again, as you guys stated, is Trouble. And I do feel that she will get that talking going. And like, again, she's not light-skinned Keisha. I think that's her name. She's not going to be the one who knows the streets to be like, we don't know anything, officer. I feel that she's going to just be blabbing and blabbing and blabbing. So then right there, that is the downfall there. Secondly, I didn't think of there being an I did actually think of the overdose. I thought of a little bit of an overdose when she was in the room with Braden and she was like, I just want some products off the top. I was like, this would be a really great opportunity right now for her to just die right in the room with Braden, and he freaks out and he can't reach Tariq because then it's like, little boy, you got to be a man now. But at the same time, I feel that they haven't, yes, we're in 3 seasons, but Braden hasn't been alone within those 3 seasons. It's only since the beginning of the Revenge Tour that he has been alone. So I'm wondering how he's able to handle things when things really go down and it gets a mess. If that girl was to overdose right there in his bed, what would he do? I don't know. He's completely cut off from his father. You know, you want to hang out with those snow bunnies. What do you call them? Black bunnies? Jungle bunnies. That's my favorite. You want to hang out with those jungle bunnies. You go right ahead. You're dead to me. So I don't know whether or not I don't think his father's going to be like, hey, come back. No. Like, oh, the jungle bunny died. So I think that he would have been really on his own then. But I don't know. I don't feel he has this. He does not have that street smarts to know what to do if she overdosed right there in that bed. He does not have the street smarts to go out and cultivate this business and make those kind of connections that, say, Tariq would have made. So while I think this is a really good, he's doing good right now, they're not in that huge threat for the moment. And I again forgot what the original question was. But
it was what will Tariq do when he finds out basically that Braden's been giving her products and stuff?
Obviously, I think that he's going to be very upset, but I think that at this moment he has no one to blame but himself because he wanted to, invest in Revenge Tour instead of investing in the business, which is what Braden stated in the very beginning of this episode. Was, we need to focus on it. He stated this, I think, in the previous episode too. Do you think we really need to go on this Revenge Tour right now and not building up the business? And then he basically left him on his own. So yeah, you can be mad, but be mad at yourself right now. And that's kind of the problem that I have with people who don't take responsibility. And I'm starting to wonder, is Tariq the kind of person who's going to start taking responsibility for his actions? Yes, he is taking the responsibility and saying, oh, it was me that shot Monet and Tasha has nothing to do with it. What? Tasha, she's in the middle of, police protection. I don't know where she's at. But is he going to start really Walmart? Is he going to really start taking responsibility of things? And I haven't seen him do that. Even when he was a kid, in the original Power, he never took responsibility for things aside from I killed my dad. Okay. Who else didn't kill their father? So we'll have to see where it's going. But if he's going to be mad, I hope he takes a reflection, be the man in the mirror, and realizes this is all his fault. And to realize that he can't do 20 things at once. And he's going to have to learn how to delegate. And then here's my whole thing, too. What I was slightly wondering, now I know this is a little bit off topic, but I'm going to forget this because I have ADD. Remember when he was giving Pinky all of these orders from the very beginning when he was dead broke? Was this like, I'm going to give you the money and pay you double when I see you again? Because that's just kind of where I was wondering, because Pinky made sure they, whatever, they stated in their text message, this is you paying for these services. So I'm just wondering how much Pinky is costing at this moment. And I love Pinky, by the way. Pinky seems to be the smartest character out of this whole bunch. And if you was gonna say to me, Dan, who is really like the good person that you think is probably in this whole show? It would have to be Pinky. Because is Pinky's just the watch out person. I think Pinky is making their money and going on with the rest of their life. Because if you notice, it's just like, hey, watch this house for me. What's Kane doing over here? Pinky doesn't get involved in anything. And Pinky's hair and nails and wardrobe is always looking good. So yay for Pinky. I hope Pinky finds continued success and happiness. Shout out to Pinky.
Pinky spin-off coming 2025.
No, give me that Pinky spin-off.
Yeah, like Pinky's definitely like, you know, the dark horse. Well, not dark horse, but like she's like the one that she's the glue that keeps everything together, like for Tariq, basically. But yeah, great thoughts. I do agree with you that Tariq can't really be too mad at Brayden because he has caused a lot of things himself. I mean, you know, after the first episode, he was like, you know, I just want to be a regular college student and everything. And then the very next episode, he brings them back into the drug game, you know, so like he can't really be upset. And I mean, Brayden is going through things himself. Like his whole family has kind of like disowned him, and his sister seems to be going through something now as well because she got evicted and it looks like she's using as well. So like he has his own problems going on. So Tariq can't be too mad at Brayden, but it does seem like they're setting something up there. So I don't know, like, you know, even with the Becca thing, it seems like they were setting something up for the future. So I think I agree with Rich. In the second half, we're probably going to see some more drama related to Brayden and Tariq going on. So we'll find out, I guess. But yeah, so let's have our final thoughts and then we'll wrap this up. Me personally, I mean, I don't have any. I think we kind of touched on anything. Let me just check my notes. Tariq. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess, you know, my prediction for episode 5 is either Tasha returns and she gets killed, or we're going to find out what the deal is with Carter, because they have to leave us on some sort of cliffhanger. So, you know, maybe Carter kills Kamal or something, or he kills somebody else, and like we find out, okay, this is a bad guy. This is the main villain of the season or something. But yeah, something major has to happen in episode 5 because they're taking a break for 2 months. So yeah, I'm calling it like there has to be some death or something next week. So I can't wait to see. But yeah, Dana, you're looking at me funny, so go ahead. What's your final thoughts?
Hold up. Did you say 2 months or 2 weeks?
2 months.
Month is in an M, as in like 60 days.
It comes back September, right? So like
Yeah.
next week's the last episode, then it comes back.
Am I the only one who did not know? And we did a whole thing on this about the split, and I didn't. Y'all, this is how ADD works. I can't retain information long term. So when you said like 2 months, I legit was like confused and only planned for like, hey, in this 1 week that we have the break, we should do this and this. I only thought it was 1 week. 2 at most. I didn't think it was 2. They trying to Bridgerton us. I don't like this. I'm very upset. Oh, if that's the case, then I hope everybody dies. Everybody has to die in the next episode. 2 months. Baby, that's a lot of months. That's 60 days. Lord, that's double rent payments. Okay, I don't like that. Can I go into something that I wanted to bring up for a second? Is that all right with y'all?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. What I think is very interesting was whole Effie situationship. By her by Kane being his own man and being his own person, I truly wonder, does this give Effie the freedom to no longer worry about Kane and what he was going through? Also, and again, we have a whole second 2 months, we're doing a break to figure this out with the second part. The whole situation with regards to the Russians. I don't know what is going to happen with Monet and her saying, I just want my baby safe. I do not recall her saying, let's us get out of the game completely. Because remember, she had a new business that she wanted to start up again. And Diana was like, the second it turns profit, I'm done. I want to know what those plans are in that regard. And I want to know how does this involve Effie? And is Effie able to also break away? Because remember, she was tied to Monet as well. No, she was tied to Noma. But she was tied to Noma. So I think I just answered my own question with that. But by Kane being number 2 and being so involved with Noma, are they still bringing in Effie? See how I just rearranged and remixed that question? That's one of the things that I just want to really know what's going on with that situation. And then also in regards to that conversation that Dru, the conversation, they were trying to kill each other. But these were some good monologues for this whole thing. Because Dru really got a lot off his chest in regards to Monet and in regards to, how he truly felt. And even though I think he was stalling time in order to not be killed and to get, in order for maybe Diana to push her down so that they can run out of the house, because Monet was still okay with Kane shooting them, which is really interesting. But Monet was okay with Kane still shooting at the car. I wonder if during that whole time period, she was able to truly understand what Dru was saying and what Dru was going through. Because she did talk about how, no matter how many times we tried to tell you we wanted to get out, that you still kind of forced us in there. And so I really want to know what is going to be Monet's psyche. And I wonder if in order for her to have a positive outlook on the family and for the family itself to be positive, does she herself have to learn how to step out of the game? And here's the thing that I felt as well. When Monet was giving her monologue to Janet, and she was, talking about the mother, she talked about how her kids hate her and how it's a bad luck for the kids. But never once did I hear her tell her feelings on the situation in terms of, I want my kids to succeed. I want my kids to be happy. Instead, it was, they hate me. They dislike me. Me. I'm wondering if she feels bad because the kids don't like her, as opposed to she feeling bad because she stopped the kids from having their own lives, their own hopes, and their own dreams. So with that being said, in a way, I wonder if Monet truly understands the gravity of what she put her kids through, and are they able to coexist and be happy together? And I don't think so. I still think she's being very self-centered, and I don't know what's going to happen there. Another thing with Dru, when he packed up, he got kicked out of the penthouse. By the way, I did an interview, so I should just put this in there. I did an interview with the actor who plays Dru. I did also an interview with the actress who plays Diana. And one of the big questions that I asked was, you have no place to go. You're essentially alone. What are you going to do now? And he talked to me and he said to me that he is not only having to restart his life, but he is going to learn how to get that money up. In terms of when he was going to that stash house, in the end, he didn't take that money with him. So he is literally starting from ground zero on how to basically survive without his family. I wonder if that's going to be, okay, does that mean that you're in the drug game thing? Because it seemed like there was a rivalry between him and Kane of being a number 2. And now that he is literally going to be a number 1, can he truly handle that one? Because is that the responsibility that he really wants? or was he just trying to do that in competition because of his father and because of Kane, because he wanted to be that favorite son? So that's going to be a very interesting way of how I hope the second season comes to pass. So that is kind of like my two kind of takeaways that we didn't touch upon. Also, when the girl who we nicknamed Trouble, when she was like, "Oh, the influencers basically plug your drugs for free." When you're not, yes, you can pay influencers and drugs; they take anything because they're influencers. But to me, it seems that I wonder if he is. No. He was saying that the influencers. Her argument was that the influencers don't pay him anything. So there was a way for Braden to make a double profit. So in regards to, this is what I was wondering when Tariq is on his, his duty thing, and this could be a way how Trouble doesn't die. What is Trouble? Even though she's a little addict, it's okay. Um, she can actually be the one who runs ideas by Braden to make things smarter. Because her thing was, you can also be making money off of these influencers because she made a point that you're paying the influencers, you're paying for all these products, you're paying for this, and yes, you make a profit, but there's money going out that could be also money be coming in that relies more on just the profit. You can get, influencers to start paying you in order to help spread the word, or because they're in a way getting their merchandise for free. So there's a way for there to be a profit that can return. So I think that this might maybe be Trouble's chance of survival because she is rather smart. So that there seems to be like one of the reasons as to why you can keep Trouble. And then I think that may be everything. But I'm really interested in seeing. Oh, I do have one thing. I had a thing that I wanted to ask. So remember how they had this whole scene of making sure that Kane was the one who kind of spoke to Kevin Grant and kind of distracted Kevin Grant. They was doing the rundown on basically saying that Kevin Grant is basically Kane in a way. He started, in that family with the drugs and he made it to the top and now he's a businessman. I was wondering, maybe it's more of a hope, that in the middle of, Kane's monologue about how he doesn't have anything aside from just this game, how, Dru he's a Picasso and Diana is going into these Ivy League schools, that maybe in a way, Kane can become a Kevin Grant and work his way up, himself up into that political lane by being someone's second-hand man in the political field. And, a random thought, even though he completely dismissed Kevin, he was like, yeah, congratulations to little kids, to the homeless. And he left. I wonder in a way if that was foreshadowing kind of Kane's future. I could just be overthinking things, but it would have been really interesting to kind of see that play out because they made such a point of saying, oh, you guys are basically the same person, the same upbringing, the same everything. So that I wonder what's going to happen there. But that seems to be everything so far with this episode that I just really wanted to mention. So, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree on the Kane thing. Like, I think that could be some foreshadowing because, basically, like we're kind of seeing a glimpse of who he needs to become to get into the position that he wants to be in. He wants to be like what Ghost was, where like he can talk to these business people and also run the streets, basically. Like, so that's the level Kane kind of needs to get to if he wants to, like, break the chain or break the hold that Monet has over him, kind of thing. So yeah, that was a great scene right there. And of course, his mission in that scene was to distract Kevin Grant. But really, what he needs is he needs to get to the level where he's the one talking to the Wiley character, that Noma was talking to. Like he needs to be in that spot. So yeah, I like that scene for Kane. And I hope that we begin to see more layers of his character moving forward. And also, like, I want to say, is her name Brushonda? I think she can really spit. Like, she can spit. I didn't know she could like. Yeah, I didn't know she could rap like that. Like, they were
Wait,
making some
the
good
girl.
music.
Which one? Not
You know
Trouble. Was it? She was in Trouble.
Not Trouble. The you know the other black girl from college that she's in Tariq's class and stuff.
I kept calling her light skin Keisha. That's not her name?
That's her real name. Her name on the show is
Oh.
Brunshilda. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they were making some drill music or something. Like it was sounding kind of good. But yeah. Richard, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts is I thought it was a very entertaining episode of Power. Looking forward to seeing what happens next week. Obviously, I do expect there to be some major things that happen, as you both said, because it is going to be the mid-season finale. And the final comment that I will make, and I'm going to go to something that Dana mentioned, because when she was talking about the Braden and Tariq situation, the one key word, accountability, because Tariq does not take accountability. I just want to make a prediction right now, and I feel that obviously we're very early, so we don't know how it's going to end. But I do think this show ends with Tariq having to take accountability, because I think by the end of this show, something will happen to the character. Maybe he will get locked up, and there will be no chance that he is ever released, or something different. Because again, it will be the perfect full circle moment to when he killed Ghost, and when he shot Ghost, and Ghost said there's no turning back. And we got to remember, the whole reason why he did that is because he didn't want to do the time for the crime. And Ghost has said, "Oh, you do this time, son, I'll get you out," so on and so forth. He didn't want to go through all of that. And then you saw Tasha also do her time, just to try to save Tariq. She did time as well. So Tariq has constantly been protected, not having to really pay the price. And yes, he did get arrested in the earlier season of Ghost. I am aware of that, where he was in the jail cell. We saw the whole letter he got supposedly from Ghost. Yeah, I understand that. But what I'm saying is that something needs to happen to the character where there is no point of return, where he can't get out of a situation. So that's why I said I do expect this show to end with the same thing that Ghost. When Ghost warned him before, I do expect that to come full circle, and for this character to meet his end, whether he gets killed, which I don't think he will get killed, but he definitely can get arrested and go away for life, or something to that effect. But we'll see what happens. Again, too early to predict that, because we're only on episode 4, but I do think I thought about that because Dana said accountability. So I kind of feel like that's going to come full circle, but we'll see how they execute on it.
Can I just jump in here and say, yay to you, Mr. Bailey of the Junior of the Richard. I 1000% agree with you. And that here's the thing, I was wondering, and this is just to reiterate everything, is it time that Tariq pays for his crimes of the past? His greatest sin was killing his father. So that is the one thing. Ghost was, and this is kind of makes me wonder, everything that Ghost went through with his original making, was it justified that Tariq killed him? Was it justified that he died? And therefore, with this series, I'm wondering if it's justified that Tariq has to pay the crime. Even if it was for, say, with that Tasha situation, he is paying for someone else's crime. The way that, the family stood up for him before. Because if we're going back, wasn't he the one who killed Raina's killer too?
Yep.
Everything that he's done.
Yeah. After Ray killed Raina. Yep.
So yeah, we understand why. There was absolutely no justification to kill Ghost if we're going to go all the way back there. There really wasn't. He was a spoiled kid. And even Tasha, you know, that whole situation with Tasha, and he was trying to make him a man. That's from this was like 80 years ago, but now he was trying to make him a man, and instead he killed him.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm starting to wonder if Detective Carter is his retribution. Is he the one? You know how you get that thing where you try to chase down that demon, but this is the one demon that's gonna get you. I'm starting to wonder if Detective Carter and his all the way that he acts is actually justified, and that he is the one that was sent for to get Tariq. So, yay, Mr. Bailey Jr.
Oh yeah, that would be a real bittersweet ending for him. Like if he were to end up in jail, because I do remember that last episode where Ghost was alive. You know, he was setting up Tariq to take the fall, and then that's why Tariq killed him. So it would really be great, like to see it come full circle, and now you actually have to go to jail because of your own actions this time. So yeah, that would be a cool ending. But I guess we'll have to see if they do that. And I'm gonna predict this. I do think we might see Omari return as maybe a ghost character. So maybe he'll return just to rub it in a little bit, like as a in his ghost form. Um, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, great thoughts overall. We're running a bit over time here, so we're gonna wrap this up. But definitely do chime in on the comments. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know your predictions for episode 5. There has to be something major that goes down because, as you know, after episode 5, we will be waiting 2 months for the rest of the season. So hopefully, the next episode is a five-star episode. But we'll wait and see. But yeah, for now, everybody take care of yourselves. Go ahead, Dana.
And check out the interviews that will be coming with Dru and Diana.
Oh yeah, look out for the Dru and Diana interviews, and also go, if you haven't seen them yet, go back on the channel and watch all the other interviews too, because Dana's dropping a lot right now. So yeah, keep up with all the interviews and stuff. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening. Peace.